Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups, limited beliefs, situationships, and relationship issues. Today, we have a situation. Someone wrote in to writemac.com. They sent your story in. If you want to send in your story, go to writemac.com. Commercial over. Let's get into it. So today, I'm going to talk to you about I want to break up, but then I don't want to break up. Have you ever been in one of these situations? A lot of times when you're in the breakup, you don't think back to how you were teeter-tottering in between wanting to break up multiple times in your head or in your mind while you were in a monogamous 2-year, 3-year, 4-year relationship. And what people don't realize is there's moments when you go, God, I would just like to be broken up right now. I'd like to be single, or maybe this isn't right for me. And I present this as a question: why stay in a relationship that you aren't fully fulfilled? And I think nowadays what's really getting difficult is fully fulfilled is a infomercial on Instagram or YouTube. Everywhere you go, you're being told how to make more money, do things more efficiently, live more optimally. And these are taglines. And so what you don't see is how to deal with shit, how to get through things, how to make a marriage go 50 years. These aren't things that are in infomercials. Okay? These aren't things that people are advertising. Hey, do you want to figure out how to be in a 50-year marriage? I haven't seen one of those advertisements on YouTube. Okay. More of them are like how to date better. Right. So why stay in a relationship that you aren't fully fulfilled? It's a great question. I've been there before. And guess what? If you're in a relationship for 2, 3, 4 years, there's going to be zones or moments or times in that relationship where you don't feel fully fulfilled, where you feel like maybe I can do better, where you feel like, damn, I didn't think you looked that bad in the morning, right? These things get real as you get together longer and longer. All of a sudden, 6 months, 8 months, I didn't know you would actually do that to a family member. I didn't know that you were going to embarrass me on the dance floor. Maybe I'm the one who embarrassed her on the dance floor, probably. So, why stay in relationships that you aren't fully fulfilled? Number one, the trade-offs are good. Okay, so there's a lot of good things. I trust her. She's loyal. She's church-going. She's got a good job. But that's the trade-off. Okay, that's the part where you're like, but actually, she's got this giant mole and she likes to grow hair out of it. And I was okay in the beginning, but now I'm not cool with it. And she won't remove it. That's extreme. You're always in relationships with friends, family, and colleagues that are trade-offs. Now, family members, they're an interesting character because you can't really get rid of them. They're there forever. It's your blood. It's bigger, right? When you get into these relationships, boyfriend, girlfriend, romantic relationships, there's more trade-offs that you're willing to deal with. And a lot of times for men, it's attraction, good intimacy. Everything else is okay, especially when you're younger. For women, sometimes that's the same things, maybe attraction and intimacy over a good job, over spirituality, over a positive attitude. Okay, so these are trade-offs. Now you're thinking like, why can't I have everything in one person? Sure. People will have moments though where they're like, oh shit, I'm not as attracted to you as I thought I was. Okay. So these are when you're in a longer committed relationship, there's going to be moments where you're not fully fulfilled. Number two, it's hard to be happy with your partner all the time. Accept that. So if you're one of those people, and this is a hard thing for a lot of perfectionists out there, hard workers that get what they want, someone that's gone to the gym for 2 years and has a 12-pack, not a 6-pack, and they just want everything to be 110% all the time. And it's really difficult in relationships because there's ups and downs. There's all arounds. There's people that lose jobs. They lose family members. They just get in a funk, right? And so accepting the fact that you're not always going to be fulfilled in a relationship, even though your partner's pretty damn good, is a good start. Okay. Number three, you aren't confident enough to do better. So in your mind, you kind of feel like, oh, I could do better. I can get someone that I'm more attracted to with a better singing voice, someone that makes more money. But deep down inside, you don't have the guts, the dignity, or the balls to go out and put yourself out there. And that's the thing. It's not like a car. So what's really interesting about a car is you can trade in an old car and get a new car. Now you need money in place, and that's really nice because you never go without having a car. Now there's some people out there that they call it monkey branching. They go from one partner to the next partner, but did they trade that in? And so what a lot of people have trouble with, oh, I could probably do better, or I could do this, or this is what I really want. But really, are you okay with being alone for a little while in that search? Because unless you have someone on deck, it's really difficult for a lot of people to pull that trigger. But I always tell people, if you're that confident, then put yourself back out there. Number 4, you are unhappy with yourself and project that onto your partner. If you are at a place where you're bitching and moaning and complaining a lot about your partner, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, ask yourself what you have an issue with about yourself. Is it your job? Is it your money? And then ask yourself, what are you poking at them for? If finances are really low, is that something that you're giving them shit about too? Or is that something that you look down on them too? That's you projecting your own reality. Number 5, you have trouble committing. And that's okay. You don't know if this is going to be the last person you're with for the rest of your life, and that scares the hell out of you. And so you pick things to go to town on them. You pick things that you don't like about them, and you keep going to work on them because you just aren't committed anyways, and you're looking for an out. Number 6, you're always been a player or a drifter. Those are 2 different things, but you are the type of person that doesn't like to stay with someone long anyways. So you're just looking for your ways out. So when you're not fulfilled in a relationship, it's normal to you. I remember I had a friend, she is a female. She described herself as a drifter. I'm just a drifter. It's like, would you want someone like that as a long-term partner? Someone that moves around a lot, kind of goes with the flow. Good friend, but I don't know if they're into being in a committed relationship. Number 7, they don't line up well with you, but you love them and trust them. This is a big one. So you've been together 2 or 3 years. You've done really well for yourself. You're going to the moon with your career, your entrepreneurship, whatever. And the other person's, stuck making their first song or their first art piece at 28. And you just are in different directions. You don't line up, but you love them because for 3 or 4 years, they've been there for you. And so this is really hard. This is where you want to make a relationship work or try. And then if you don't, it's c'est la vie and it's bet on yourself. And this is one of the most difficult ones. You're not fully fulfilled because you're growing in different directions. You're not congruent paths. And you just don't line up well, but you love and trust them. And trust is so hard to get. When someone knows you for 4 or 5 years, knows you in and out, knows all your secrets, all your insecurities, that's a big deal. And that's something worth working on. And you could still feel unfulfilled with that person, especially if you're comparing them to better people in your mind. Number 8, you've seen women or men that you think would be better, but you can't pull the trigger. So this is a big one. Social media nowadays, you're constantly told bigger, better. You could do better. Don't sit around and take crap. Okay. So you believe like I could do better, and you keep comparing your partner, girlfriend, or boyfriend to a better one, to a movie star, to your friend's girlfriend. And when you do that, what you don't realize is, can you pull the trigger and make yourself single again? Deal with the loneliness, deal with the uncertainty, and bet on yourself that you really could get that better person in your eyes. So these are some things to go through if you're looking at, I'm just not fulfilled right now. Sometimes I feel like I want to break up. Sometimes I don't want to break up. These are some things to go over. Now, go over it real quick. Trade-offs are good. It's hard to be happy with a partner all the time. Accept that. You aren't confident enough to do better. 4, you are unhappy with yourself and project that onto your partner. I've done that in past relationships. I'm not proud of it. Looking back, hindsight's 2020. And you look back and you go, I was just at a bad place myself. I was at an unhappy place with myself. And I was just projecting that onto them. And if they're in a good place, you can get jealous sometimes. Okay. All right. So we got 2 on deck. Percy Blue, welcome to being single again. The fact that you're laughing about it is a good thing. I hope those emojis don't mean you're crying. I think that's crying with laughter. embrace being single. There's a lot of people out there that wish they could get out of a marriage, that wish they could get out of a relationship. And that's not the topic about today's live stream. But a lot of times, this is big. People feel like they're trapped. And they're trapped in a relationship they don't want to be in. And that's because of a trade-off. So they're trapped, as in they have no choice. The reality is they don't want to give away the trade-off. Well, a big one for people is when they share an apartment or home and the mortgage has to be paid by both of them. They have a kid together. They're just not willing to let that go. And that's okay. They just have to be aware. They're not trapped. They're just not willing to give up that one good piece of the relationship that keeps them bonded. All right. So Rye Flint's on deck. Percy Blue's on deck. We do have 2 stories. I have about 20 minutes to go here. We'll keep it moving. So let's get into the first story. Hello, coach. I got a situation. I call that a situationship, where I'm at a crossroads in my life. I feel like my current girlfriend is good. I mean, overall, really good. She's loyal. I trust her word. We have good intimacy. She loves to cuddle me. She always puts me first. I feel like I'm number one for her. Then there's the other side, the trade-off. You call it in other videos. She doesn't cook well. I'm not highly attracted to her. So that one stands out the most. I think cooking's okay. You can go to other places for food. It's highly underrated, your attraction level on a scale of 1 to 10. Attraction's fleeting. So you can, a woman has your child. I haven't had this happen before, but a woman has your child or you're with her for many years. You can gain attraction for her, or she looks really good in a dress, what have you. So attraction's up and down and it's fleeting. It can change. Now, when you just say I'm not highly attracted to her overall on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 5 or a 6, and you're trying to be more attracted to her, that's always going to be a problem. Okay? That's always going to elevate the problems because the problems get deflated with a higher level of attraction a lot of times. She doesn't value exercise, but she is disciplined and not overeating. Okay? So what you're saying is she doesn't have a problem with her weight, even though she doesn't exercise. She doesn't drink alcohol or do any drugs. I just feel like she can't have any intelligent conversation. Well, if you consider yourself someone that likes intelligent conversation, that's going to be a problem. How much do you value good conversation? Some people are quiet. Her outlook on the world feels like you're talking to a teenager sometimes. She's highly immature and doesn't value any sort of career or job field. So that's a whole nother thing. Is that changing? Or is that just set in stone? Because you haven't mentioned her age. She's willing to work easy, comfortable jobs with low pay, mostly retail jobs that she finds easy to quit. Her dream job is just to be stay-at-home mom. I've thought before that she would be a good mom, and that's one of the biggest reasons I've stuck with her for 2 years, but I'm not financially in a situation to really do that, and honestly, I feel pressure to do so. Not from her directly, but just knowing us at our best is her staying home with a kid and being left to just be a mom. So, I mean, at my age now, 42 years old, having a few friends, having family members that have had kids, having friends that the dad stays home full time, like a Mr. Mom situation. I think it's a privilege. I think it's a good thing if you're able to do that. I don't think it's one of those things where she's just a mom. I think in some cases that could be an ideal situation. Unfortunately for you, it doesn't seem like you're wanting to have kids right now, nor do you value the fact of how good it is to have a woman that is a good mom because you just don't have kids yet. And I would, if we were doing a live coaching session, I'd ask you, what's your experience with your mom? I value that idea. It's just my current career isn't at a point of having that ability now. In the meantime, she is just getting by at the moment in between jobs. And every couple months, she'll randomly start going on about how her friends, boyfriends take care of them and don't have to work. I know my value as a boyfriend and partner, and I know that whenever you get caught comparing relationships, you've already lost. I think silently, human beings compare everything. Okay. How far they go with that is different. As people get older, they don't care as much, but it's human nature to compare. So if she has 2 best friends that have boyfriends that bankroll them, doesn't mean you need to change. It does mean that that's going to affect her view on what's good and what's not good. The fact that you're just not ready to do that is a whole nother thing. She could certainly find a guy like that, and maybe she should be careful what she wishes for, because it's not always an automatic good relationship. That being said, it just seems like you're in different directions, where it would be extremely frustrating to say, yeah, I'd like to have a family and I'd like to take care of you. Financially, with my own job and career, I just can't do it right now. So if that's the case, and you feel bad about that, and it's affecting the relationship, then you need to take inventory and say, why am I staying in a relationship where I feel inferior because I can't provide for her the way she wants me to provide for her right now? The ideal situation would be for her to see the forest for the trees, or the trees for the forest, and the idea that she can see potential in the idea that you are going to be able to be a providing dad. If that's not on your radar, to have a family, to take care of her, it seems like this is going to be a reoccurring theme. Okay. And the idea of you getting angry about it instead of meeting someone that maybe has a good job, has intelligent conversation, and doesn't hold you over the coals because you don't bankroll her. Is that possible? That's great to ask yourself. Is it possible for me to meet someone like that? And before I do that, you'd have to break up. So I know I need to focus on my career, but I feel like I can find someone better for me. As soon as you say that, you've just told me there that you're treating her as if she's temporary. Okay. It's bad timing, and I'm settling for someone that long-term I feel like doesn't fully appreciate me, and we will have problems as long as I don't provide her with total financial taken care of, which wouldn't be something I'd strive for. I'd rather be with someone that's proud to work towards something. So do it. We've broken up once before, and it felt good, and I felt this sense of relief, like I was living with someone that didn't appreciate me fully. So multiple times you feel unappreciated. You feel like because you don't have the money to take care of her, she's not fully appreciating what you offer. On the flip side, you're not fully appreciating the fact that you're not that attracted to her, but at the same time you have good intimacy. So there's some things that you're not happy with her. I'd rather have broken up once before, but it felt okay. I'd rather be with someone that's proud to work towards something. We've broken up once before, and it felt good, and I felt this sense of relief, like I was living with someone that didn't appreciate me fully, but I also didn't fully appreciate her. I know plenty of guys that would kill for a wife like her, and they'd be happy to take care of her for life, and I'd be happy for her, but I'm not the one in that capacity. Still, all being said, I don't feel like I have any grounds to break up with her right now. She hasn't done anything wrong, and currently she's in between and depending on me financially. So I'd say in between jobs is what you're trying to say. Some people might look at this and go, oh, wow, just break up. I could see that being an issue. Like breaking up with someone when they don't have a job, they're financially down, and they're dependent on you. It's not an ideal situation, and you don't feel like she deserves that. I'm okay with that, but I don't know for how long. I don't find it wrong or bad to fully support a woman financially, especially if you have kids. It's just figuring out what she does. What does she stand for in her life? And will this backfire on me? As I've heard you say that if you're going to take care of your partner, it should be your pleasure to do so, not something you resent or look down upon. So you've watched some of my videos. Yeah. And there's plenty of people, it's their pleasure to buy you lunch. It's their pleasure to take care of their woman fully and completely. And so if it's not yours, get out of the way and let some other guy take care of her. You got to get in touch with that. I'm at a point where I'm settling and there's no consequences to it. We broke up 2 months ago, and she said she couldn't live without me, and she doesn't know this, but I just felt fine. I was lonely at times, but not really missing her directly, as she's very needy at times and just drains me. So basically you're saying I'm with her because of pity. Is that what you're saying? Like, be honest with yourself. That being said, I seem to get tired of girlfriends overall and just find a way to break up inevitably. I want to do better. Sometimes I think if we have kids, maybe it will change things and force me to commit. but really it's not something I want right now. So you're on the fence. Okay. So you don't want to fully commit, but you do want to commit. You can see things in her. You know, what I would ask you if we were in a full coaching session, do you have trouble committing to jobs? Do you have trouble committing to friends? Are you late for appointments a lot? Like, is this just an ongoing theme for you, or is it just in relationships? What do you suggest when someone is not broken up, but at a crossroads to break up, but really feels like their partner just isn't what they're looking for? They feel like they settled. I would say that what's holding you back from breaking up? Is it fear of being alone? Is it fear that you are letting go of a good one? Is it the idea that other people would appreciate what you have? Do you feel like you're not in a position to meet someone better right now because, you know, financially or looks wise or whatever, you're not there yet? But I would say it's unfair to the person you're with that inevitably you feel like you're going to break up with them and they're all in. What's holding me in a relationship other than comfort and loyalty? Question mark. I'm not sure. Well, this is why it's good to write things out. She's loyal. I trust her word. We have good intimacy. She cuddles me. She always puts me first. I feel like I'm number one. Those are why. Those are kinds of things that don't grow on trees, especially loyalty and trust. Those are pillars of good companionship. Okay. The fact that you have good intimacy, that's probably curing a lot of your, I don't know what we're going to do. I'm sure if she turned off the spigot on that, maybe you'd be quicker to break up. You also talk a good talk here and all these things you don't like, but deep down you might be just a little bit insecure about being single again and not having an immediate replacement. And that's what a lot of people do. It's like, if you couldn't trade your car, and I'm talking about a car because a lot of people rely on a car to do more things than you think, go to work, go out to eat, do a lot of stuff. If you weren't able to trade that car for another car immediately, in other words, you'd have to wait, delayed gratification, right? Could you do that? A lot of people can't. And so the fact that you can't trade her in for someone else and you haven't met someone in the process, it makes you feel like, well, I'll stick with this car because I can't go without a car. I'll stick with this girlfriend because I can't go without a girlfriend. The other part of this, you feel like you're going to hurt her feelings or you're going to put her in a financial bind. That's a whole nother situation that you feel is significant and important. But you also are missing the boat on the fact that if she's going to grow and be better at those areas of her life, probably she's got to, you know, be in a position where she's got to be on her own. Okay. So I hope that helps you. If you want to book a live coaching session, go to writemac.com. We can unpack that a little further. All right. I got one more story on deck. All right. Hey, coach, I broke up with my ex over 2 years ago, and that's when I found your work. I now look back on the breakup as something that had to happen to help me grow as an individual. Excellent. It's always good to look at that hindsight 2020 and go, wow, that breakup was just what I needed. 2 or 3 years later, you're looking at it and you're like, I would have never made the moves I made now that are good moves. She was a daily drinker and extremely negative about life and people overall. I felt like her negativity was becoming part of whom I was. And now I found a new relationship with a woman that is extremely positive and kind, but she lacks any sort of ambition. So this is a great situation where you've been in a relationship that was bad, that you weren't happy in for a long period of time. You're relieved, I guess, years later, 2 years later, that was the right thing to do. You're dating someone new. This happens a lot. People date someone new, and the last person you're with was extremely negative. The person you're with now is extremely positive, and you feel like, wow, this is so wonderful. But then you realize, but there's some things that I still don't like about this new person. Just because they're positive and they don't drink a lot like my ex, they still are going to have some things you don't like. But she lacks any sort of ambition. She's been floating through life without any sort of value on things that may be of hard work. She's got a college degree in hospitality management, which basically says you can work in hotels, which she's done briefly and doesn't like. That's another thing. She'll quit a job in a day if she doesn't like it. And she's shown me that as kind as she is, she can turn on her family members in a moment and not talk to them for weeks. All right, so that one specifically, that relates to being in a relationship with her. So if she's in a situation where you upset her and she decides not to talk to you, don't be surprised, because that's what she does with people close to her. People call that stonewalling sometimes. She said it's good to delete people that do you wrong and you don't agree with. That's a bit extreme. I think in some cases that can be good. In some other cases, it can be extreme. Her grandma taught her this, but I think it's a bad lesson. As she has just stopped talking to multiple family members, she tells me everything I want to hear. And I'd even add that she love bombs me with heavy compliments. But I'm not sure it's genuine or not, as it's so over the top sometimes. But I'll admit, I really do love getting complimented on the areas she compliments me on. But then she's got this side of her that wants to be spoiled and bought gifts. She's not someone that's into expensive name brands or extravagant things, more like just always paying for dinner, paying for her gas, paying for any bills she has. And she doesn't have many. This isn't a gold digger situation. I don't feel that at all. It's more her clarifying that in her world, a man takes care of you or her. Wow, this is similar to the last story. That's what her dad did, and that's what her grandpa did, and that's what men are supposed to do, she says. And in turn, she's loyal and loving to me. I'm just wondering if when I say no 1 month to her bills, which aren't expensive, will she just drop me? Well, it sounds like you're in a new relationship. You didn't say how long you've been with this woman, and you're learning what she finds valuable. So she's got all the reasons why financially she wants to be taken care of. Like you said, it's not a gold digger situation where she's just having you buy things to buy things. It sounds like she just doesn't have a good career path. I don't know about yours, but again, goes back to, if you're going to pay for things, just make sure it's your pleasure to do so. And do I need to just get to the point? I'm just wondering, if I say no 1 month to her bills, and do I need to just get to the point where I accept that it's my duty to take care of her financially? I mean, you don't have to get to that point. It's something you have to agree and want to do. I want that, but then I feel like I'm not sure it's sustainable as something she wants to buy or things I don't agree with. See, this is where it gets sticky, where it gets a little bit murky. Is you agree to take care of someone in a relationship, but then you have the veto power on what you buy and don't buy, and then they get really upset, as if, buying some kind of expensive item that you don't value, such as clothing or makeup or a non-need item. Maybe she needs tires for her car and she wants the expensive ones and you want the cheap ones. This is where it becomes a problem with someone that wants to be financially taken care of. Okay. Beyond the fact that, where does it end? Now, there's guys out there, like I said, and there's women out there too, sugar daddies and sugar mamas, I suppose, that just don't have a problem with this because they have so much money. The problem in the relationship is, if they're going to pay for everything, they're going to expect that you're on your best behavior and that you rule the relationship. And now she's asked that her sister can move in, which I said okay to, but only temporarily. She told me that I should embrace her sister as my sister and that her sister loves me. So now she's giving you directions on how to treat her sister. I do feel her sister does care about me. It's just become a heavy weight to carry. So the sister thing's totally separate. I would not recommend, even if you're on good grounds with the sister, to move her in. You don't know her that well. Her problems are going to become your problems. All roommates, their problems become your problems. If you're living together in a 5-bedroom house, you have separate bedrooms, maybe you have separate bathrooms, but they come home and they got a shit storm at work and they're giving off that vibe and energy, you're going to run into them. You're going to talk about it. It's going to be a part of your day. If the sister's having trouble right now, it's fine for you to say, hey, you can stay here for 2 weeks. Hey, you can stay here for 3 weeks, but I would have a limit built in, because the longer she's there, now you got a situation where it's going to be hard to get that person out of there, and that person's adapting to whatever they're paying you or not paying you as part of their daily life, right? And so that's a big problem later on, because when you want to break up or you guys have issues, you got to worry, oh, sister's downstairs, let's keep it down. Oh, the sister's in the other room. It's impeding on your relationship. It's not comfortable. Now, if the sister's in a bind and you really want to help them out, it's got to be your pleasure to do so. You're not going out of your way or out of your value base to do so. Now, doing that, saying that, you have a situation on the other end. It's the same as the person that sent the story before. Financials in a relationship are a choice. Some people think they're an expectation based on their own value system. It's a choice, right? And at the end of the day, if you're not financially stable or abundant, it might just not be something that you can fulfill for that other person. All right. Percy Blue, I do what I can for the club. Right on. Anyone have any questions? I got about 5 minutes. Any topics you want me to talk about in a future live stream? I did just have a video sent in where a client of mine is telling a story about dating right now that he wanted to get my take on. He thought it could be cool for me to unpack it when he's talking through a video rather than just writing it down. That's something I'll do on the next live stream. But have you been in a situation? Put it in the comments below if you've gotten to this point of the video. I want to break up, but then I don't want to break up. You're unsure. And I feel like every long relationship, and when I say long, I'm saying 2, 3, 4 years, you've had moments of this, right? And then you stay in. You get redirected. And what's really interesting about that is when you stay in those relationships and you finally get out and you deal with all the wreckage on the road, you've been together 4 or 5, 6 years, 3 years, whatever. And then you get in a new relationship that's pretty good, especially in the beginning. And then all of a sudden they break up with you over something petty, or they make a comment that really hurt your feelings. And you realize, wow, it's not easy to be with someone 3, 4 years, because now I'm in this dating world and we're breaking up over fragile things. We're not staying together. This person's disappointing me. And so you get surprised sometimes how much of your long-term relationship was built on the fact that you can't leave this person because you've been with them so long. 4.5 year long relationship, all that back and forth, no fun. Yeah, I was engaged with joint mortgage, enjoying finances. Enjoying? It's such an interesting thing to look at in different cultures, in different places in the world, what's expected once you get married. House, car, kids. Why else get married, right? Joint financials, and I didn't want to break up because I didn't want to pay him out. So that's a trade-off. Someone might be like, oh, you just got to do it. You just got to pay them off. No, you don't. You got to bet on yourself being able to handle those financials. You know, it's leverage. The other person has more money or you did, because I had the funds, not him. Well, there you go. There you go. And some of those things, when you look at them, there might be an alternative outlet that you try, but it's just not working, right? And that's a trade. Like I said, it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off. What I find is people with the financial situation, for example, Rye Flint that's sharing this, that you were making the good money and you didn't want to have the financial burden. You got to really sit down and think about, can I get back to where I am now, pulling the plug? Also, opening up the opportunity in the next year or two that I could actually meet someone that's not a slouch financially and make that a focus of mine. Not looking for a situation where you're looking for a millionaire, just someone that's more financially responsible, right? That would actually ease the problem of you losing money once you broke up. Because, I mean, you run into these people that are in some nasty divorces. I never forgot, I was at a Christmas party that years ago, and everyone's in a good mood. Everyone's talking. This guy was single. He was a director at a prominent private school, and had a couple drinks. He wasn't drunk or anything, and then he just goes into how his wife ended up with the house, and then she never got married, but she kept the guy in the house, and then she sold the house 2 years after the divorce and cashed in everything, and it was just an odd situation for everyone there. I wasn't a breakup coach at the time. This is years back. And this guy was bitter, and he had been divorced 10 years. And that's why when I say when people get divorced or they end things financially, do things as fair as possible. So later on, you're not like, oh, I did that for you, and now you changed your word. The worst thing I've heard guys say is, well, I'm going to give her the house, but she can't have any other guy move in there. Good luck with that. All right, at the end here, we just had 6 on deck. I really appreciate it, Riflin. I do have a call to make. If anyone else out there wants to book a live coaching session, go to writemac.com. We can get into your breakup, your situationship, your limited beliefs, what's maybe holding you back right now to getting back in a relationship or dating again. A lot of times that has nothing to do with dating apps or the idea that there's just no one good out there. There's something on your mind that's holding you back, that's making you feel like you're not ready. Okay? All right. It's curtains. Take care.